Hello and welcome back, my beautiful viewers, beautiful souls out there, to another divinely timed, inspired tarot reading for the general collective. Now, if you clicked on this video, we're just going to trust that your intuition brought you here and you were led to the video title and that this message is for you. During all of my readings, I place the power in the querent as it is your free will to shape your life. So if this does not resonate with you, that's okay. It perhaps wasn't a message for you. Perhaps it was for somebody else. Share with somebody else. But if it does resonate with you, then you definitely know this is a spirit wink for you. But we are going to do a full moon reading today. This reading was inspired by viewer ALESSIABI. I'm not sure if that's Alicia or Alessia BI, but thank you so much for stopping by and visiting our channel and letting us know that you like this content and you would like to see more. So I wanted to get together with this beautiful deck. Now this deck is the Moonchild Tarot. Super beautiful deck. I love the way it shuffles. I love the artwork. Gorgeous, gorgeous deck. And today we are also featuring Spreadcrafter's Oracle at the top here. And we're going to run through it a little bit here as I go through this reading. And then lastly, we have the female Archangels. But there's also males in here too, for our guidance for today's question. So what we're going to be asking for today's question is, what do I need to be aware of to best navigate these upcoming changes in my life? So the reason why I chose this question is because I'm sure, just as well as you and I, if you have open eyes and ears and you're paying attention, you can tell that there's quite a bit of many changes going on in our planet right now. And it just seems a bit, seems like a little bit all at once. A lot of changes going on. There's a lot of turbulence. I know the planetary alignment is one of great changes coming on our horizon. And as above, so below. So if there's great changes happening all around us, there's great changes happening within. There's great changes happening with our personal life. And these changes may go from as subtle as you had some revelations that you didn't want to spend your life this way, and now what am I doing wasting this precious time, and you decide to make some changes. Perhaps your changes are on how you choose to think, like, oh my God, I talk to myself so horrifically, I wouldn't talk to anybody this way, but why is it okay for me? It could range from simple subtle changes, which are not subtle, by the way, they're very profound, to very big changes in your life. Maybe you know some of these changes, like, oh, I plan on moving and I don't exactly know where yet, or I got a new job and I don't know how it's gonna go, but there's all kinds of changes happening all the time, and this full moon is no exception. So during full moon, we also do a lot of shadow work. A lot of our older versions of ourselves come up to challenge the new versions of ourselves, the ones we've proclaimed that we would like to start living by. When we get challenged by that old version that says, well, wait, this is the way we've always done it. Why can't we keep doing it? This is uncomfortable, this change thing. Let's go back to what we know. And so we enter this pull and tug relationship with ourselves. So I thought this might give some clarity. So let me go over the Spreadcrafter's Oracle with you guys for this question. So with the Spreadcrafter's Oracle, it is such a cool deck. You can see there's a seeker category, which talks about the character and the personality cards that highlight you. There's a focus category, there's a light work category, there's a shadow work category, and a call to action category. Now, you can use this deck any old which way that you can think of that works for you. Today, we are choosing it by categories. So today, to answer our question of what do I need to be aware of to best navigate these upcoming changes in my life, we decided to use focus area. What do I need to be aware of to navigate these upcoming changes in my life? We chose shadow work because we're working with the full moon here and shadow work comes up. What do I need to be aware of to navigate these upcoming changes in my life? Call to action, because I always like a category that tells you This is how you can move forward in a positive way that is for your highest good. So we chose the categories focus, shadow, and call to action. So that is the cards you see here. I haven't looked at any of them yet. I just drew them beforehand for ease, so you don't have to wait. But we're going to get into the cards now and start this reading. Thank you again for stopping by. I will never, ever, ever, ever tell you to like or subscribe because I personally get tired of hearing that. And I think we all know how to play this YouTube game now. If you like me, you'll do things that support me. And if you're neutral, then you won't. But it's one of the things I find most annoying is like, stop telling me that. I already know how this game works. So I tell you the same thing. I'm never going to say that. So let's get right into the question here. And I'm going to speak in terms of we, since we're doing a collective reading, but just know that if this resonated for you, obviously this is for you personally. So what do we need to be aware of to best navigate these upcoming changes in our life? This is the focus area. We're going to pull this over. It says connection and relationship and love. So what do we need to be aware of to best navigate these upcoming changes in our life? Well, we need to be aware of that category in our life called connection, love, and relationships. And we have the 10 of Cups, guys, right below this focus card here of connection, relationship, and love. So that tells me what do we need to be aware of to best navigate these upcoming changes in our life. Make sure that the people you're hanging around with feed your soul. And make sure that you haven't hung on to friendships beyond their expiration date. That might be another change that we're unwilling to make, right? Because we feel mean or we don't want to be judged as too harsh. And, you know, we didn't like it when we were let go of from a friend before. But actually, it's the best thing you could ever do for yourself and your friend when we decide to let go of friendships that we've held on to long after their expiration date for multiple reasons, because those friendships are not going to support us in ways that we need in the new version of ourselves. Those friendships and those relationships and those connections are not going to give us the tools, really, which is just, you know, as we change and grow, usually is just an understanding, compassionate, and loving ear. Right? But you know when you've entered a friendship beyond its expiration date, when you get done hanging out with them and you feel drained, or maybe they call and you're like, ooh, you cringe a little bit on the inside, like, ooh, do I have to answer right now? Oh, I don't know, maybe I'm busy. Those types of friendships are not really friendships. Those are probably just sucking your life force energy, and it has nothing to do with them. It's what you are allowing to give them in choosing to stay connected to them. So what do we need to know and be aware of to best navigate these upcoming changes in our life? Work on our inner circle. Work on our net, our family unit, our Fab Five, you know, and our Fab Five doesn't have to be blood family. I always believe that friends are family that you choose. And so many of us come from family that taught us really valuable lessons, but is ultimately toxic for us, right? So a lot of us choose to navigate away from that family and start to form our own bonds and connections. And this is exactly what this card is talking about. So this card is talking about any bonds and connections beyond blood. It can include blood. Certainly can include blood relatives, obviously. But it also means outside of blood, the ones that have our heart and our soul and our true connections, because those are the connections that are going to help us navigate these turbulent times as we go through these changings that we are approaching in this world. So I want to read a little bit about 10 of Cups because it's just such a beautiful card to get under the focus area of connection, love, and relationships. And this is, I mean, the 10 of Cups literally is the happy family card. It's creation of abundance, love, happiness, emotional contentment, particularly in your relationships or family. Celebrate by surrounding yourself with your loved ones to expand your heart even more. So being around those people that really fill up your heart chakra and help you feel charged or at least balanced or grounded, those are really healthy relationships that are nurturing your soul versus the other ones we spoke about earlier that tend to sort of drain it, or maybe you always feel lesser than when you're talking to them, like they're part of the cool party and you're not, and you got to prove yourself always, prove your worth and prove how awesome you are in order to stay friends with them. Those types of connections can say goodbye to. We can say goodbye to that part of ourselves that feels insecure, and with that part of ourselves that feels insecure, unworthy, and unloved, also goes the friend that sees that unworthiness in you and kind of treats you in that way you expect to be treated, right? When we think ourselves as unworthy, then the world sees ourselves as unworthy and begins to imitate back to us what we perceive of ourselves. So this is good time to kind of cut those ties. And sometimes cutting ties is easy, say with an acquaintance or an old work friend. And sometimes it's a bit more challenging, say it's a sister or a brother or a mother even. Many times it's a mother. So however you decide to nurture your Fab Five, your soul people, make sure that they spark joy in you, that they represent the person you are now and who you are becoming, and not the person who you used to be, perhaps in your childhood. They are supporting and loving of you as you are now and the person you are becoming. So I really love this card. It couldn't have been more perfect. Our focus area for how to navigate these upcoming changes in our lives is focus on your connection, relationships, and love. And the tarot supports that with the 10 of Cups here. So this is a lot of really great emotional fulfillment. I love that. So the next category here we have is our shadow work. In our shadow work, we are forced to look at our upbringing. So upbringing, what limiting beliefs or values were taught to you that still affect you today? What unresolved trauma or negativity have you experienced during your upbringing that still holds power over you? So this is part of our shadow work, right? Those are the beliefs that I was talking about before that you may not be fully conscious of. You don't know why, but your friend is so cool and you just want to stay friends with them, even though you do feel kind of drained after, and even though you feel like you got to step into shoes that you aren't quite ready to fill yet. You don't really think of yourself as being unworthy, but subconsciously and energetically, that is what you are projecting by not valuing yourself the same way you value that esteemed friend. So, or relative even, it doesn't have to be just a friend. So this is that track that's playing in the back of your mind that I am not good enough just the way that I am. And in order to be accepted and respected, I need to be this way. So that's you rejecting yourself. So that requires some reflection, right? Seeing what those tapes are. Like, wait a minute, I've got a tape running here. I know it. And I got to figure out what tape am I running? What false belief am I continuing to think? Because remember, beliefs are only a thought you keep thinking over and over and over again. And if you're not aware of them, then you can never change them. So upbringing is our shadow work card for today. And that's interesting, we have the Hierophant. So the Hierophant comes up, I believe, under upbringing because a lot of our upbringing may be from social standards, social norms, the traditional way things are done. This can mean just regular societal things like you grow up, you get a job, you get married, you have a kid, you get a house, you get a car, you get, that's kind of a social standard, right? That everybody kind of thinks of. Now it's totally different, right? There's all kinds of different, anything goes, right? But somewhere in the back of our mind, there are social conditioning. So what is that social conditioning for you? The Hierophant represents that here. It's a habit. It's something that your parents always did, so you just accepted it as that's the way I got to do it, I guess. And you keep doing it. Now, that can be societal norms or patterns, and it can also be religious norms or patterns. So it can be anything that you learned as a child that had structure, religious or societal structure, or even family structure. Sometimes there's certain habits or rituals or routines, like, oh, every Christmas we have shrimp cocktails because we're tired of having the regular ham and turkey or whatever it is. And that's a tradition in our family. We have shrimp cocktails. So I thought everybody had shrimp cocktails. And it's just a pattern that you were exposed to, but you can actually decide to create your own life in any fashion. But like we said before, you need to be aware that you're doing these things and that thing that you're doing in order to change it into something else. So how can we best navigate these upcoming changes in our lives? Have a sturdy connection and foundation of family and connections that really nurture your soul. Remember to take a look at our upbringing, especially as we get triggered. And when you get triggered, what does that mean? Everybody uses that word, but what does it mean? Well, when you get triggered, you get emotionally upset by something, or something snags you, or something, causes you anxiety, or it ruffles your feathers, so to speak. And when something does that, it's an indication that there's healing needing to be done there. Because if you had no healing needed to be done there, you wouldn't care about the situation. You would just be like, oh yeah, stranger walked up to me today and told me they never wanted to speak to me again, so I told them goodbye, right? You would have no strings attached to that. You'd be like, bye, see you later. But if your best friend or your sister or your brother walked up to you and said, I don't ever want to see you again, you would obviously have a reaction, because there's an emotional tie there. There's some healing that could occur there, right? There's an invitation for healing. So know that when you get triggered by something, don't get mad, don't get angry, don't get upset, like, oh, why am I getting triggered? I've done all this work and I shouldn't be getting triggered. No, it's a gift. It's helping you see the areas that are still sore, the areas that need more love, the areas that need more understanding, the areas that need to shed light on. And a lot of that can come from our childhood and our upbringing. So the last card is a call for action. What do I need to know? See, we have love here. Oh my God, call to action. Love. So we've been hearing this a lot from the gurus. To show tenderness and devotion, to care, to connect, to take something as part of yourself, to be one with all. So this is what we are going to take into these new changes that are coming, to not go into fear and doubt, because what is fear and doubt? It's the exact opposite of love and trust, right? And all the gurus have been telling us, go into your heart chakra, don't go into fear, don't be clicking on these things on the internet that's probably in your algorithm that are based upon shock factor and fear and all of this stuff. Or, don't go hang out with friends that tend to be fear-oriented around any upcoming changes in your life. Don't go talking to them about your new job. They may not be the best ones to support you. But understand that as we all go through this, we are all going through these changes that are happening within us, around us, and throughout the world we live in. And we are all connected by this energy that we all emit, comes from our soul, that I believe is love. And love is that essence, is that divine spark and that divine being that connects us all. No matter your race, no matter where you live, no matter where you come from, that love and that divine essence within you is what connects us all as one. So I think this is a splendiferous card for your call to action for how to navigate these upcoming changes in our life in the best way possible. And underneath that, we got the Page of Cups, which I absolutely love, guys. So the Page of Cups asks you to be an apprentice again about life. Be an apprentice about your feelings and your emotions. If you've been one to sort of cut off your emotions, not wanting to really open Pandora's box because you don't know if you'll ever close it back again, this is that time to get curious about it. Instead of going into fear, you choose an attitude of curiosity. Oh man, it's been a long time since I opened this box. Let's see what's in this puppy. Because the Page of Cups really brings gifts of intuition. You're learning how to use your intuition by feeling your emotions, being tapped in, tuned in to your emotions, And you know what? The Page of Cups always brings a pleasant surprise, whether it's pleasant news or pleasant action or a pleasant thing you weren't exactly expecting. The Page of Cups brings that guidance to us. So I love that our call to action is to tap more into our intuition and learn to lean into it, learn to trust that. So many of us were trained very logically, must follow the logical path, must go to the establishment I want to work at and submit a resume, then I must do a follow-up resume, then I must, like there's a certain level of action that we tend to kind of go into almost rote. So this kind of challenges that, all of this challenges that. Be aware of your connections and who you have under your wing, who's closest to you, who fills your heart. You can go ahead and let go of those other people. Know that you're not only doing yourself a service, but more importantly, you're doing them a service by moving along to what is in your highest good. And of course, the Hierophant brings us attention to what are my rituals? What are my beliefs? What is my upbringing? And furthermore, you take it a step further, and whatever ones that you were raised with, whatever societal or religious traditions that you were raised with, these two pillars represent a rite of passage. So you can choose to go through this rite of passage, and there's the moon behind her. They're not horns, by the way. It's a moon. There's a moon beckoning us to use our intuition to get us through this rite of passage, these two pillars over here. Get us through and shine our diamond facets as bright as they can be by following our intuition. So following our intuition sometimes doesn't mean following the old pattern and what we've been told, right? And I learned from a really great teacher that your intuition will never make sense to your brain. So if you're waiting for your brain to go ahead and agree with your intuitive choice, you can just kick up your heels, because that will never happen. Your brain can't understand feelings. Your brain can't understand intuition. So your brain will never understand intuitive choices. This is why the heart is ruler in that area, because it's the only one capable of actually knowing what is in store for our future. Obviously not our whole lives, but at least a little ways into the future. So I love that. And then lastly, our call to action is love, remembering that we are all love, we are all connected, we are all one. And we all share that same divine spark. And then that's coupled with the Page of Cups here. So, this is like creativity and how you're going to express it into the world. You just have an open mind that's curious to all possibilities. You're dreaming big magic to its fullest potential. It's an invitation to explore your creative and your emotional side and how to express it. Do you express it in art? Do you express it in writing? Do you express it in dance? Do you express it through creation? How do you express it? You're being called to trust your intuition and to be open to the array of messages coming your way. The synchronicities. Don't just think that you happening to look at the clock at 12:34 or 11:11 is just a happy mistake. No, it's communication to you through numbers from the divine field. So you can have fun looking into that. 1, 2, 3, 4 usually means baby steps. Take it a day at a time. 11:11 is a master number, so you're working with masters. There's all kinds of different meanings out there. Pick your source carefully, make sure it resonates to you, and then take meaning from that, because those coincidences and synchronicities actually mean something. So those are intuitive breadcrumbs. This is going along with the flow, and it will lead you to the next thing that will be a place of alignment and happiness. So again, having that page mentality. So the page is like an acolyte, or is like what's the other word for one of the king's helpers? The page is just basically in training. That's why I call the page an apprentice. So consider yourself an apprentice of your own emotions, of what brings you fulfillment. Consider yourself an apprentice of your intuition. Even if you're an old pro and you're like, I know my intuition, it's good to come at it with a new perspective of curiosity and wonder. Like, oh, Wonder what we're going to find today. So I love that for that. And lastly, we have, what do angels can we call upon to best help us during this transition? What angels can we call upon to best help us through this transition? And we have Archangel Freedom. Oh my God, guys, this is the best one. Enliven your senses. So I love this, considering that a lot of the changes that at least I've been experiencing in my bubble have seemed a bit constrictive. It's all in your matter of focus, right? But they're just, it feels like things are tightening just a little bit around the collar, right? So just get this card for me feels amazing. We're just going to bust through any of those false beliefs and those false chains that are holding us down to a sense of false self. A sense of false self, so that we may be free to discover the trueness and the wholeness of who we truly are. I love this so much. So Archangel Freedom, we're going to go ahead and read this to you. 15 also is a numerological number that also has meaning, which I don't know, but if you're interested, you could also look into that too. I'm going to let you look close while I read this to you. Freedom is always yours. You don't need to add or subtract anything to yourself to be free. You are enough. So Archangel Freedom, whose name is derived from the Old Norse Freya, meaning to love, serves on the orange ray of acceptance, compassion, and understanding with her counterpart, Archangel Jeremiel. Jeremiel. I'm so sorry, I'm botching the name. Jeremiel. Archangel Freedom, also known as Anasia, reminds us that liberation is a vibrational experience we align with when our senses are open and free of bondage. So that means free of limiting perceptions or beliefs of ourselves, right? So you can be free and still pass through these pillars as your free self. You could bust through those pillars as your free self, the freest version of yourself, the new version, the upcoming, the alchemized version of yourself. You could just bust through those in your own way that may not look anything like what you were raised to believe or what you've witnessed in your life, because you're going to do it your own way. She helps us to illuminate what we perceive is shameful and dark or dirty within us, so that we can step out of judgment and into our true sovereignty. See, this is so awesome. I love this card. I also love that her name also means love, to love. It's like, you know what, guys? There was once upon a time where I believed in coincidences and happenstances. Spirit has erased that from my mind through all of this evidence it provides me. If the focus is connection and love, how do we get the best card for connection and love here at the Ten of Cups? If the focus is upbringing, great, the Hierophant shows up. I understand what you mean. And love, the Page of Cups. I just love it all. It's definitely a message from the divine, and I love the evidence that I am provided with. So freedom is helping you to overcome the hang-ups and stories that have been holding you back your entire life. Oh man, isn't that what we were just talking about? Invite in Archangel Freedom for transformation of suppression, sexual and sensual reconnection, healing inner feminine wounds and stories, and boosting self-respect and self-worth. So she helps us, Archangel Freedom helps to transform the collective stories of guilt, shame, and separation that are all stored in our navel. That's that orange chakra, yeah? The orange chakra also holds our connection to loved ones romantically and friendly, that second chakra. It also governs over our career, if we're happy in our career or if we're upset in our career. So we can have blocks or have obstructions or be upset. I don't really like the word block because it tells your mind it can't be overcome. So I just prefer challenge or just something of that nature, so that it doesn't make it impossible to move beyond. But the orange chakra, which apparently she has an effect over, does govern your happiness in your relationships and your career. And also it helps your creativity. So if you've been feeling a bit stuck in that area, Your orange chakra may be needing some charging and some cleansing, right? And might as well clean the rest of them while you're at it. But I love that because it helps heal those inner wounds and stories, boosting self-respect and self-worth. So I love that for you guys. That is that for what angel can I call upon during this time. And her final departing message is, I am the light within the dark. I am the solution to every problem. I choose to live life through a new lens, for I am free. I am freedom. Woo! What an amazingly synchronistic read. So just as a summary, what do I need to be aware of to best navigate these upcoming changes in my life? Get your Fab Five, your soul connection, your soul network, and really take time to be in it. Enjoy it. Stop doing what you're doing and pursuing, you know, that with that focus, like a dog on a bone, to take a second to realize the family and the amazing supportive network and friends that you have around, you know, making time for them, and just really forging and strengthening that bond and connection. That's what's going to help you and be your stabilizer through this time period and the changes that were coming up. Now, what's the shadow work I need to know about in navigating these upcoming changes in my life to the best of my ability? Your shadow work is to pay close attention to your upbringing and those reels that play again and again in your head, sometimes unconsciously. You don't even know that you're acting it out until you get a snag or you're triggered, and then you realize, oh my gosh, this is the same thing my mom did. Every time she had this problem, she would react this way, and I am too. I didn't realize it, and then you begin to change it, right? So remember, the Hierophant has to do with any sort of traditional structure. This is the way things are always done. This is the way things have always been. Now this can mean in your personal natal family. This can mean in your religion. And this can mean in society, in your nation, the way things are done in your nation. So that needs to be looked at in order to free yourself to navigate these changes in a fluid way, right? Because our call to action is to bring more love and awareness of love, and that means moving into your heart chakra a little bit more, and not in an unbalanced way. So those of us that are empathic tend to move into our heart chakra and then just give 200% of ourselves away to people. That is not what is being in your heart chakra. To be in your heart chakra means to be neutral. So you're not overextending yourself of like, oh, I'm in my heart chakra, so I'm saving the world, I'm healing this cat, I'm helping this dog tonight, and tomorrow I'm gonna go to my grandma's and do her thing, and you know, the next day I'm gonna go over to help my mom. And that's being imbalanced in your heart chakra. When you're in a good space in your heart chakra, you're neutral. And when you're neutral, you're able to navigate what the brain would consider a hard moment or a very light moment. And what's even better is that when you get information from spirit world, if you're in neutral, you'll be able to receive it. If your heart is bleeding out for everybody and you're trying to help everybody, your vibration won't be high enough to hear it, because in order to hear this one up here, you have to be used to hearing loving, kind, and beautiful things said about yourself without squirming or feeling uncomfortable. So I love that. Getting into the heart chakra in a balanced way. Finding neutrality in your heart chakra. Remembering and seeing that spark of divinity in all of us, and that we are all managing the best we can with the information that we know or have. And that during these transitions and changes, the best angel to call upon to help us navigate these times would be Archangel Freedom. I love that so much. Tell me what you think in the thoughts below. Did this reading resonate with you? Did it bring any clarity? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for stopping by for this full moon reading in July. And until we see each other again next time, guys, peace.